Welcome to the show. Edward St. Pierre here with you today. This is Future Shock, and we talk a little bit about high tech. We talk a little bit about, today we're going to talk a little bit about biohacking. I guess, when you're looking at everything that's happening in AI and the complete sweep that we're going to see as far as the civilization, the change we're going to see over the next 5 years, impacting every aspect of everybody's life because of the advent of AI, right? Jobs disappearing, but new jobs appearing, but people becoming able to infuse AI in their life. It's like becoming almost gaining superpowers. Okay, what would be an example of a superpower? Okay, let me tell you how I would look at it. A superpower for myself. Okay, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life and kind of lived that life, right? And so, but there are limitations to everybody's ability. So, for example, for myself, let's say if I envision something and I wanted to implement it, I would have to employ, experts in different areas. And it would take some time, it would take some money, and you might get detoured along the way. You might not achieve your goal for whatever reason, thousands of potential reasons why you might get tripped up. But on the other hand, if you can employ AI to help you do something, to get it into reality quicker without waiting because of, contacts, time, money, whatever it might be, to pull in the people, the resources, whatever, to get it done. If you can implement it just from your vision, now that's a superpower. Okay, I'm just going to give you an example. The show, the Open, that we just did, the Future Shock Open. Okay, I'm not a graphics designer, but I wanted a graphic for Future Shock, so I used AI to do it, ChatGPT-4. I love music, and I've always kind of, been around the outskirts of it my whole life, in some way, but I'm not a musician. But if I can write lyrics and I can visualize the tune and put it together conceptually and then employ AI to create that song you just heard instantly, without time, effort, resources, money, contacts, who do I know, who's an expert, how much is it going to cost, I can't afford it, I get detoured and I'm never going to do it, or maybe I'll do it a year from now. No, instantly. Okay, so run it again, Clarence. This is an AI creation based on what I prompted into the system to create. Yeah, the opening we just did, play it again, what we just did. Everything you see was created by AI. I amalgamated it together by taking the music and, that I've got from the various sources and putting it together. But these were creations based on AI, based on prompts. In my case, I don't prompt, I speak it in and it synthesizes the text into voice to the AI. Okay, let's take a look at the Open again.
Ready, set, Future Shock. Ready, set, rush your crowd. Now a man with something to say. Here's your host, Edward St. Pierre.
So the Future Shock logo was created by Alfred, our AI, which is ChatGPT-4, we call him Alfred, okay. And then the music was created by Udio, U-D-I-O. And for that, I prompted in what I wanted, and I prompted in a customized version of Udio. Allows you to put your own lyrics in, along with, the prompt for what type of music you want back. And so what it does is it takes those lyrics, it creates the music, it takes the lyrics, and it brings you back the voice too. So those singers you heard were AI singers singing my lyrics. So there's an example. Is that sort of a superpower? I think so. If it enhances your ability to produce and to produce good work quickly through your own means, instantly, without waiting and getting detracted or diverted or detoured or whatever whatever it is that could be an impediment to the creation of the thing you're trying to achieve, then yeah, I think it is a superpower. So will AI give us superpowers? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's an evident thing that's going to happen. So, okay, Now, this show, we're talking a little bit about biohacking. It sort of fits into the whole area of super hacking yourself, or super hacking into superpowers of your own. So AI will help us, right, to achieve things in our work and in other areas of our life, but also using technology and using not necessarily AI that I can think of, but using technology and new ideas that are unfolding as we go forward, probably as a result of AI research, right? Bringing us new information about medicine and new information about staying well. All of that would fit into the world of biohacking. And there's some really extreme examples of people and what they're doing out there in the area of biohacking. I guess one of the biohacks would be, and it's not so much a super high-tech biohack, but one of the biohacks, I keep coming back to it because the sponsor of the program is Pendragon Apothecary, which is our wellness store on the coast, right? So it's not really a wellness store that you would ordinarily think of, because it's what we've got is a sort of a biohacking fusion with the world of herbalism, which in other parts of the world, not necessarily the Western world historically, or at least the modern Western world, maybe ancient Western European world, yeah, herbalism, but in our America today, it's not something that is looked upon through the last few generations as a way to stay well, necessarily with the masses, right? But in other parts of the world, it's just part of their life. It's ingrained in their life. In India, Vedic medicine, those herbs, turmeric and other things that they take, all of the various things, so many things, but those things, it's not necessarily meant to alleviate the problem. It's meant to prevent the problem in the first place. At least that's part of the idea. Don't get sick. Stay well. And these things help you stay well and help you get a balance of your life. It's sort of a fusion with the spiritual. The herbalism is, to me, what it does. It's sort of not only a medicinal ally to help you stay well, but also, I believe, from my experience, these various herbs help you to kind of become more in tune with your spiritual nature, and I think that in Vedic medicine, that's the idea, right? It's more than just, not getting sick, or it's more than staying in a state of sickness and trying to alleviate the pain, but you never get well. No, it's alleviate the root cause of it and hopefully infuse the spiritual nature of the plant into your life too. Anyway, and there are many examples of that, like in other cultures. It's not just in Vedic medicine in India. In the Amazonian world, cacao is used it's almost like a cocoa, right, from native to that part of the world. But it's more than that. For the people who live there, cacao is sort of the gateway spiritual connectivity into meditation and prayer. It brings you into a state of calmness, and it brings you into a state where you're more receptive to prayer, meditation, whatever it is that your spiritual journey is taking you on. And there are others too. I mean, the apothecary here, we've got blue lotus. We've got blue lotus flower from Thailand. Okay, there's another example of a spiritual gateway plant. They used it in ancient Egypt 5,000 years ago. They used blue lotus flower, and they made tea out of it, and they drank the tea, and it helped them to get into a state of reflectiveness and meditation and calmness and prayer. And you can look at the hieroglyphics. You can go back, if you do a little Google research, you'll see the blue lotus plant was very infused in the ancient Egyptian culture from a standpoint of meditation, getting into prayer, but also it went beyond that. They would take the blue lotus flower, they would infuse it with red wine, and they would drink the red wine, and they use that for lovemaking. Okay, so they used it, I think, as I have understood it from reading about it, they used it not so much as this is the party drug of ancient Egypt, right? It wasn't that. They used it as a means of connecting with the partner on a spiritual level. So it just as it brought you into a state of meditation, it brought you into a state of prayerfulness, right? Calming down so you could be prayerful, okay? In the lovemaking process, the Blue Lotus infused red wine got people into a state of connectivity, I guess tantric like, so it was more of a union of the souls type moment, right? Okay, we've got Blue Lotus here too. And so that's another spiritual gateway plant. So biohacking, using the high tech, yes, but also that's kind of what we are. The high tech of the high tech ways of biohacking, like red light therapy and many other things that are out there, that's all great. And if you infuse it with medicines and or herbal remedies, which try to keep you well in the first place. I think that's the main idea. Keep you well in the first place. Don't treat the ailment. Don't treat the symptom, but stay well in the first place. That's kind of I guess, how you would explain the Pendragon Apothecary project here. And at this point, I've become the main guinea pig of the biohacking project here at the Pendragon Apothecary because I'm willing to do whatever it is I can to try to stay well. And the first thing that started me on the biohacking path is the low-tech thing called the intermittent fasting, which I've been doing now for maybe a year. And so it's very simple. You just don't eat breakfast, basically, and you can eat lunch and you can eat dinner. You don't eat after 8 p.m. and you don't eat breakfast, so you're really not eating from 8 p.m. until, let's say, noon the next day. You can go a little longer if you want. And there's an example of biohacking. Now, will you lose weight? Yeah, you will lose weight. You will lose weight. You're doing less calories, and your body gets into a healthier state because the autophagy, it's Latin, autophagy means self-cleaning, self-eating is how it interprets into English, but autophagy kicks in after about 12 hours of not eating. And so if you're fasting, doing the intermittent fast from 8 p.m. until noon the next day, you're going, I guess, what is that, 16 hours. All right, so if you go in 16 hours without eating, after 12 hours and your body goes into autophagy, you've got 4 hours of a state of autophagy in your system where your body is cleaning out the free radicals and the things that need to be cleaned out every day that we hardly ever clean out because we never fast, because everybody in America is eating breakfast, eating lunch, eating dinner, and eating breakfast and in between snacks. So your body is always working. You never have a stopping point where you stopped and you're not eating, and then after that 12 hours your body starts to kind of ravenize itself, right? So during that process, that's autophagy, that's your cleanup. So it's good to put your body in that state of autophagy for those 4 hours every day, because not only are you eating less, you're getting less calories, but now you're doing a cleanup. It's like, what would happen if you didn't take the garbage out for a week or a year? Or how about for a lifetime? A lot of garbage collected in there. You want to clean it out. Autophagy is the way to do it. That's a biohack. So that is something that I did, and it helped me. I lost a lot of weight. So my whole life I've been at about 175 pounds. There are times, back years ago when I tried to gain weight, working out hard, trying to get bigger, I gained 10 pounds, so I was at 185. It was not me, I was a different person, But at 175, I thought, well, that's probably about my right weight. No, not really. When I started with the intermittent fasting, after about a month or 2 or 3, I went down from 175, which I've been at my whole adult life. And I was at 155 in high school. Okay, 175, 165, 168, 165, 160, 159, 158, all the way down. I think I got down to 148. But I felt normalized at about 155 pounds. But I even went below that. Well, I realized I was kind of like getting a little too weak. So I tried to, what I did is I started to eat more meat, more animal protein, which for so many years I had been thinking, like all of us have been sort of taught, I guess, through maybe politically correct thinking, or I'm not sure why, but for a long time, you know, they said, don't eat so much red meat. Don't eat so much red meat. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. Eat more vegetables and, you know. So yeah, and I understand that, you know, too much of anything is a bad thing. But without that animal protein, you need it to be strong. The stuff that's in that, and you can get it nowhere else. And that's kind of where we came from as a species. You know, we ate meat, so as a human species. So if you put more animal protein into your system, you're gonna feel stronger, and it's a good pure protein if you want to be active and be strong. Okay, so what I did is I increased the animal protein. I got up to about 158, and that's where I'm at. So it was 155, and then 157, 156, 157, 158, and I've been there now for many months, and I hope that I can stay there. In fact, there's no doubt in my mind that I will stay right at that as long as I'm doing the intermittent fasting. But you've got to do it, and you can't eat snacks at night and all that. It's pretty easy to do though, and you do not get hungry. And if you do feel, you can drink black coffee during the fasting time. No juice. You can drink water or black coffee. But when you wake up in the morning, you're not hungry after you do it a little while. And then the idea of breakfast, you know, you realize that your body is cleaning itself out. You're in that state of autophagy. It's a winning combination. It's the kind of thing when you're thinking, man, I'm doing something right now that I should have been doing for 20 years, and I never did it. Now I'm doing it, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stay on this intermittent fasting for the rest of my life. Okay, there's a biohack. You feel better. You know, there's a few other biohacks, you know, which are more high-tech, like the red light therapy. We showed a video on that a while back. Red light therapy is fantastic. You know, I need to show a video on it so it's thoroughly explained without me trying to, you know, explain it right at this moment. But that is a great biohack, and so is something very simple called the vibration board. And I have one of those. I do it in the morning with the red light on. So early, like at 4:50 when I get up. And the vibration board, here's what it does. You stand on it, it vibrates. And you stand on it. You can do some movements and exercise. You can do Tai Chi or whatever you want while this thing is vibrating. Okay, and I'm biohacking, I've got the red light on at the same time. But the vibration board, here's a simple thing that it does. It probably does so many things that we're not even aware of, but you know, with the body, you know, especially getting up early in the morning and doing it, because the first thing that happens, your organs are, you know, basically activated into action, and it activates the lymphatic system, because the lymphatic system is like a drainage system for your body, right? And it's not activated by any pump like the heart, which pumps, right? The lymphatic system it moves through your system. The lymph moves through your system based on movement. So if a person is sedentary, or if you want to activate the lymphatic system to move, the vibration board is a good way to do it to get started. Your body, it activates the lymphatic system as you're vibrating on the board. And if you want, you can spend that time under the red lights, or at the same time, you can meditate and try to, if it's hard to find a time to do meditation, which for most people it is, to try to take 20 minutes out of your day to meditate, this is a way to do it. If you're on the board for 20 minutes, you can kind of get into that meditation zone, and you feel totally refreshed. So that's another biohack. So that's kind of what the Pendragon Apothecary store is all about. The biohacking and the various herbs and mushrooms that are used in other parts of the world to help relax or to gain spiritual connectivity or for health, like lion's mane mushrooms. Okay, we've got the lion's mane mushroom powder. We've got all the mushrooms, all of the medicinal mushrooms, we've got them here. It's called the 7 sacred mushrooms in other parts of the world. Lion's mane is the one that they have always used in India and Vedic medicine, in other parts of the world too, China too. They use the lion's mane for cognitive issues. Here's the thing, not just to treat cognitive issues, dementia and such. That's not really the thing. It's to prevent it from happening in the first place. And, in the Western world, we've always been taught that, the mushrooms, they're poisonous. Stay away from the mushrooms. Don't touch the mushrooms. It's like a scare tactic that has been foisted on us by some unknown element that didn't want people to discover the beneficial aspects of mushrooms in the Western world. Why is that? I don't know. But if you look at other parts of the world like China, which is so advanced, when Confucius 10,000 years ago was speaking about certain philosophical ideas, we in the Western world were still running around in caves. It's the truth. And to demean or to say that the Chinese don't know what they're doing when they use mushrooms to treat people, it's wrong, because they do. And they've done it for thousands of years, and the same in Vedic medicine. So that's what you would use lion's mane for, to help with cognitive, not necessarily to treat somebody with dementia, although I would think that would be something that couldn't hurt, but to prevent yourself from getting in that condition in the first place. And so that's I guess you would kind of call it an herbal biohack. But I digress. Let's get into the show. Okay, we have covered for the last few shows segments from the interviews from the Michael Milken interview at the Milken Institute with Elon Musk last week. And then from a couple of weeks ago, we had Sam Altman from ChatGPT-4 OpenAI being interviewed by the Entrepreneurs Club at Stanford University. We've got some more clips because they're so enlightening to hear these guys talk about AI and about the world we're in tech-wise. So let's take a look at a clip before we run out of time. Let's go first to Elon Musk, and we'll come back, and then we'll go to a quick clip from Sam Altman. Here's Elon Musk.
Also that it must take them to the monolith. The solution, take them to the monolith dead. And it's very important to have a maximum truth-seeking AI and a maximally curious AI. And I think that's most likely to foster human civilization, because we are much more interesting than a bunch of rock. So although I think Mars, I love Mars obviously, but you could render Mars quite easily because it looks like a section of the Arizona desert. It's like red rocks. But the rendering complexity of human civilization is vastly greater by many orders of magnitude. So I think an AI that is truth-seeking, maximally curious, would foster human civilization to see where it goes.
One of the questions here, can AI accelerate your efforts in space? How do you see it helping you in what you're trying to achieve?
Oddly enough, one of the areas where there's almost no AI used is space exploration. So SpaceX uses basically no AI. Starlink does not use AI. I'm not against using it, we haven't seen a use for it. I mean, with any given variant or improvement in AI, there's generally, I'll ask it questions about the Fermi paradox, about rocket engine design, about electrochemistry, and so far the AI has been terrible at all of those questions. There's still a long way to go.
So let's talk about one. Here's a question that's near and dear to your heart. You have a lot of children.
Yes. I'm trying to set a
good
example.
The birth rate is down in the U.S. What needs to change so people start having more children?
Yeah, this question has troubled me for a long time, because you can look at the demographics. It's a very slow-moving ship. Who's going to be an adult in 20 years based on who was born last year? If you want to, I think, have a good approximation for population, really look at how many babies were born last year in a particular country, multiply that by life expectancy. That's the number of people that will be adults in that country. That's the steady state population if birth rate remains constant. Now, birth rate is not constant, it is dropping. So you look at the second derivative of birth rate, and actually you see an acceleration in the drop in the fertility rate. Second derivative of the fertility rate is very bad. Where does this lead? This does not lead to a greater civilization. This leads to a civilization that potentially dies not with a bang, but with a whimper in adult diapers. That is a sad ending.
So obviously we have countries that, like Korea, used to have a birth rate of 6.
Okay, well, that's a little bit of Elon Musk. Now, let's take a look at the interview with Sam Altman. We'll get a little bit of that in before the end of the show.
I think that's among the most remarkable facts in human history, that we can just do something and we can say right now with a high degree of scientific certainty, GPT-5 is going to be a lot smarter than GPT-4. GPT-6 is going to be a lot smarter than GPT-5. And we are not near the top of this curve, and we kind of know what to do. And this is not like it's going to get better in one area. This is not like we're going to, it's not that it's always going to get better at this eval or this subject or this modality. It's just going to be smarter in the general sense. And I think the gravity of that statement is still like underrated.
Okay, that's good. Sam, guys, Sam is really here for you. He wants to answer your question. So we're going to open it up.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm a junior here at Stanford. I sort of wanted to talk to you about responsible deployment of AGI. So as you guys continually inch closer to that, how do you plan to deploy that responsibly at OpenAI, to prevent, stifling human innovation and continue to spur that?
So I'm actually not worried at all about stifling of human innovation. I really deeply believe that people will just surprise us on the upside with better tools. I think all of history suggests that if you give people more leverage, they do more amazing things. And that's kind of like, we all get to benefit from that. That's just kind of great. I am, though, increasingly worried about how we're going to do this all responsibly. I think as the models get more capable, we have a higher and higher bar. We do a lot of things like red teaming and external audits, and I think those are all really good. But I think as the models get more capable, we'll have to deploy even more iteratively, have an even tighter feedback loop on looking at how they're used and where they work and where they don't work. And this world that we used to do, where we can release a major model update every couple of years, we probably have to find ways to like increase the granularity on that and deploy more iteratively than we have in the past. And it's not super obvious to us yet how to do that, but I think that'll be key to responsible deployment. And also the way we kind of have all of the stakeholders negotiate what the rules of AI need to be, that's going to get more complex over time too.
Thank you. Next question over here.
You mentioned before that there's a growing need for larger and larger computers and faster computers. However, many parts of the world don't have the infrastructure to build those data centers or those large computers. How do you see global innovation being impacted by that?
So two parts to that. One, no matter where the computers are built, I think global and equitable access to use the computers for training as well as inference is super important. One of the things that's like very core to our mission is that we make ChatGPT available for free to as many people as want to use it, with the exception of certain countries where we either can't or don't for a good reason want to operate. How we think about making training compute more available to the world is going to become increasingly important. I do think we get to a world where we sort of think about it as a human right to get access to a certain amount of compute, and we got to figure out how to like distribute that to people all around the world. There's a second thing though, which is I think countries are going to increasingly realize the importance of having their own AI infrastructure, and we want to figure out a way, and we're now spending a lot of time traveling around the world to build them in the many countries that'll want to build these, and I hope we can play some small role there in helping that happen.
Terrific, thank you.
My question.
Okay, that's Sam Altman from ChatGPT-4 from OpenAI at a recent conference there, an entrepreneurial conference, Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders, a conference at Stanford University. Thanks for being with us today on Future Shock, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yesterday is yesteryear. Set your sights for Tomorrowland. Future Shock is here to help you make your stand.